What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer Guys back yet again. More Call of Duty World War II action. And we got some really awesome news. A lot of you, if you're playing this game, have seen it already. But if you're not, and you're kind of just keeping up with it and potentially looking to get this game for the holidays, we finally have a new update, new balance changes, and things are starting to work almost as they should in Call of Duty. As you can see, this is not fake at all. Finally, we have a populated headquarters back. Now, this does come with some changes. I'll talk about that in a second. This whole video is just going to be talking about the game update that actually came out today, November 29th. It outlines a ton of stuff. I'm going to hit kind of the key highlights, I think, and just kind of talk through. We'll have a little bit of gameplay going on in the background. But again, you can see here, really the biggest thing I think for a lot of people is the fact that we finally have the social headquarters back. If you played at the launch of this game, you saw this. The feature didn't always work. Actually, this feature I feel like worked. What didn't work was features inside of it. So, for instance, social rank. Social rank was supposed to be able to be something that if you watched other people open supply drops, you should have gotten a couple points of social rank for. That feature didn't really ever work, or didn't really work for everybody at the outset. It actually works now, interestingly enough. It's hard to determine exactly how much we get or where you have to be in relation to supply drops opening, but I will say I've been getting social rank by just kind of standing around, commending players, and then watching them open supply drops. So that's pretty interesting. Additionally, a lot of the other features that are in the game actually seem like they're working pretty well. I know there were some issues with people being able to get contracts, people being able to get daily and weekly challenges. It all seems like that stuff that was never really a big issue for me. However, it seems like all that stuff is fixed. There was a lot of other updates as far as using score streak training. There's a lot of bugs and things associated with that. Those have all been taken care of. What's really cool to see about this here is that you actually have people playing in the 1v1 pit finally. Nobody really did it at the outset of the game because I think it was so bugged and it just wasn't working properly. And then obviously when the headquarters wasn't populated, unless you had a group of friends, you weren't challenging people. So it's kind of cool to see that that's back. I will say the firing range is almost impossible to use now because it always seems like there's a ton of people in that. So hopefully you got your firing range challenges done. Overall, really cool. You can see here too that we finally have headquarters member leaderboards up. So you jump into this lobby and it's going to have all the people on there, and it's going to rank them in the leaderboards, which I think is a really neat feature. And again, it's really driving that social aspect. Now, something important to talk about that is a pretty dynamic shift from what we've seen before is comparative to the start to launch of the game, or comparative when we had our own, kind of social space and our own headquarters, at least with a group. You now have to essentially choose to go into headquarters. So it's going to be a load screen that you're going to have to come into after matches. If you want to redeem your challenges and pick up new ones, you're going to have to leave the lobby and go back into your headquarters, which means another loading screen. So I was a big fan of being able to pop back into a headquarters, do that stuff, stay in the same lobby. Say you got a really good lobby going and you just want to keep it running. Well, there you go. You used to be able to do that, and now you can't. So that's a little disappointing. Hopefully they fix and bring that feature back. It seemed like a lot of the stuff that may have been causing some of the issues before with loading in and out of the headquarters, trying to do those two spaces simultaneously where you're in a game lobby and at the same time in headquarters might have been some of the issues that they were running into. I don't really know. That's kind of speculation at my point, at this point for me, but it seems like the way they've now separated them is a good way to fix those issues. But however, like I said, I was a big fan of being able to pop in, do what you need to do, stay in the same lobby, pop back out. So hopefully eventually we'll get that update back and that will kind of continue to work and it can load up in the background. But if not, this is the way we have to deal with it. At least headquarters is working and is the social space that we want it to be, which is pretty cool. So that's one of the biggest updates. Again, this is live for Xbox and PS4, and then the PC version of this update should be coming out very shortly. So in addition to all the other updates, There are a bunch of map fixes, which you saw me, actually this was a perfect map to get into. So the bug and the glitch where you can get inside the rock on this map is no longer. I guess there were other maps that I didn't know were had kind of out of map glitches. I knew of only maybe one other one, but it seems like they've been able to fix all of that stuff. They've done some campaign and some game battle updates, and just a ton, honestly, just a ton of issues that they fixed. I won't read them all. There's a huge long list of them. I will put the posts where they talk through all of them down below, so if you really want to dive deep into the details, you can check that out. It was just a whole bunch of stuff, like paratroopers in hardcore modes now have hardcore health instead of normal health, which is just ridiculous to me. No wonder they were so good if you ended up getting them. I'm actually playing hardcore here now in this video. The map exploits, like I talked about, there were exploits on Point du Hoc, USS Texas, London Docks, and Flag Tower. Those have all been taken care of, so obviously awesome to see there. They fixed a bunch of the issues as far as backing out of lobbies with a group if you're in there, and you know, having black screens, which I experienced definitely, or being disconnected, being thrown out of the game, different stuff like that. It seems like that's all been fixed. It seems like they continue to have issues with how much XP is actually given during double XP. They said there was an issue of double XP not being granted when indicated, and it sometimes instead was granting 3 times XP. So that's all been taken care of, at least for now. We'll see. Again, just a whole list of other stuff, server and connectivity improvements, crash fixes, like I said, just a laundry list of stuff. One-way smoke screen, I guess there was an issue with that. There's an issue with allowing players to snake, issue granting free flamethrower, partial fuel if another flamethrower is equipped. Just, again, a whole bunch of stuff. I guess there was an issue with search and destroy where players were stuck planting the bomb if they had tossed a Molotov before that, which I think is kind of a really weird thing. But so yeah, just a ton of fixes there, which is all really, really good. Honestly, what this game needed, it's sad, to be honest, just being blunt, that they have to have these kind of fixes. Obviously, again, you're not going to get anywhere the amount of game data that you normally get, even with a beta. You're not going to get all of the hours played, all of the people, and all of the stress on really just that whole thing, putting it together. But at the same time, it feels like there's a lot of stuff that coding-wise should have been fixed and have been appropriate, and it just wasn't. So glad to see that it's all really being worked out. I will say I've had a much better user experience since this update. Again, I'm just happy to see a social headquarters back. That's probably the biggest thing. And then to have the fixes to all of the different maps was the other big thing that was kind of, kind of put the game a little bit, on a down note, especially coming into maps like this where I just dreaded coming over anywhere in that area with the map exploit. Last but not least, we get some multiplayer weapon tuning and some basic training updates. As we had talked about before, primed basic training gets a nerf, so the flinch is definitely a little bit more noticeable. The flinch reduction in primed basic training is not nearly what it used to be. There's some social complaints and some comments already surfacing around that, where it would be nice if some of the flinch was a little bit more predictive, and some of the recoil on some of the weapons was a little bit more predictive. So we'll see what ends up happening with that, but that has been nerfed. Additionally, the bar, I use it. You're seeing me use it here. They said it was nerfed to add more recoil. I personally don't feel like that, but again, this is in hardcore mode, so I'm not quite probably holding down the trigger as much as I normally would. Honestly, it is a weapon that probably needs a little bit of nerf, just based on the sole fact of how good it actually is. So that is a weapon tuning that they've done. They had a reticle unlock fix for the STG-44 reflex sight, so it's good to see them fixing that. And then they have custom reticle fixes for the scopes on the Kar 98 and the Lee Enfield. And that's really it. That's probably the biggest updates and highlights for this update. Again, nice to see all these fixes come in. Nice to see headquarters working the way it should. The one other thing that I personally would like to see, and I think needs continued looked at, is obviously still weapon tuning, weapon balancing, but I would really like to see the sniper rifles get a little bit more tuning in line with the quick scoping, at least not making it quite so easy. I think they did some initial steps towards that, but it's still pretty prevalent, and just something to consider for the group. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Some comments, just what I'm seeing and thinking, and then obviously all of the updates. Again, check the forum post down below if you want all of the specific details, and yeah, hopefully it was helpful for you. So I've been Doc with Average Gamer, guys. As always, we'll bring you more Call of Duty World War II in the coming days, so stay tuned for that. And we're just going to continue to enjoy and play this game, and look forward to the first DLC that actually should be coming out here relatively shortly. So we also get ranked play kicking off on December 1st, so very, very soon. So we'll probably dive into that and see how that's going and what that's all about. And again, appreciate all the support to the channel. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Again, if you enjoyed it and you're new, please do subscribe, leave a like, throw a comment down below. Let me know what you think is the best and the worst of this update. Really like chatting with you guys in the community. So as always, appreciate it. Thanks, and we'll catch you in the next one.